Pick and choose what you pulled from your experience?
Yeah, I didn't see much that I thought was overt racism. There was some.
Yeah.
Like, one cop said to some black guy, "I'm going to beat the black off your ass." Another guy said, "Why do you think I became a cop? So I could beat black bastards like you." You see that. But there's also a kind of a locker room camaraderie among the black and the white cops. They taunt one another with racist taunts. It's like at a steel fabrication plant I worked in when I was in college. The Irishmen called the black guys guineas, and the guineas called the black guys mix, and they never came to blows. It was part of the ethos of the place. So there was a lot of that in the police departments that I saw. There was some overt racism, but frankly, not a whole lot more than you would encounter in any other walk of life, I didn't think. Now, my presence had an effect. I think they might have moderated some of their behavior because I was there. But after 4 or 5 nights, I really think they forgot I was there, because they did a lot of stuff that had I been them, I wouldn't have done. So I think if you're there long enough, like 48 nights, these guys knew who I was. The sergeant of the certain relief introduced me when I went back for the second time and said, "This is a good man. Let him ride with you." And so, you can say I was co-opted. Maybe I was. But I didn't see, I recognize that possibility. I didn't see as much overt racism as I thought I would.
Well, choosing to approach the theme of racism in a novel is always, I think, a very difficult choice to make because it's such a loaded topic. Did you go into that area, an arena, with any trepidation, or did you feel completely confident with it?
Well, I did with a lot of trepidation because I could see a black reader reading this book and saying, "What does this guy know? He's a white blue-eyed devil. What does he know?" And I don't write as if I understood what it is like to be on the receiving end of racism, because I haven't been. But there is a certain picture that you get if you look objectively at human behavior. And I covered civil rights for the Hartford Courant, the Milwaukee Journal, the Washington Star, and I guess that's all. I spent several years in my career as a reporter covering civil rights. You learn something. You don't learn how to be a black man. I didn't feel I had to be a black man to write this book about race relations. Somebody's got to write a book about white cops and black citizens.
So let's talk briefly about the publication sort of trajectory of that book. So you did the research, you wrote the novel, and then you took what was at the time an unusual step and self-published it as Temple and Shipman in 1999. So 1999, self-publishing was just not done that much by writers of your stature who had been published elsewhere. What was behind the decision to do this?
Well, this was published, Temple and Shipman, which is the old name of No Blue-Eyed Devil.
Right.
As you say, I published it in '99, but I had tried to sell an earlier draft of it about 5 years before that. My agent got such comments from editors as, "There's no market for a book about blacks. This book is depressing. It's not tragic, it depresses me." And I thought, I don't want those clowns judging this book. So in '99, I rewrote it, and I never submitted it to a publisher. I thought I would just get the same old crap. Well, I think it's crap. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're right. But I wanted to get this book out. So I got a contract to write a book for Houghton Mifflin on persuasive speech, on the arts of persuasion, because I had taught that very briefly at the Harvard Business School, knowing virtually nothing about business, but knowing a little bit, presumably, about the arts of persuasion, since Aristotle wrote it all down in the year 320 BC anyhow. So they gave me $25,000. And I said, okay, I'm going to publish No Blue-Eyed Devil myself, or Temple and Shipman as it was then called. Here's 25 grand. I'll throw away 5,000. And the key decision was not to keep track of my expenses. So I had no idea how much I spent on doing that. But it was probably it was probably way too much.
Well, and then in the decision to join with the Cponcord E Press and be on our first list with the title formerly Temple and Shipman, now No Blue-Eyed Devil, talk a little bit about the decision to go with the Cponcord E Press, in that, you know, we're a very non-traditional press. You've been published by Random House, you've been published broadly. Choosing to be part of a radical outfit like ours, you know, what was behind that choice?
Well, it's not because I'm much of a radical. I'm a great admirer of the Concord Free Press and what you and Ann are doing in the Concord Free Press. And I see the connection between the E-Press and the Free Press as something that's worth being involved in. Secondly, I thought that I wanted to get into the 21st century. You know, when you ask me what writers I like, they're all from 150 or 200 years ago, except for a few. So I don't want to be a troglodyte, and I recognize that there's something in this online publishing, and I wanted to be maybe not in on the ground floor, but I wanted to be one of those at least who's available in that medium. So I just thought it looked like a really great possibility to open this novel, No Blue-Eyed Devil, to a new audience.
Good. The thing about having it out as an ebook is now it's available to a broad audience, and they can download it in minutes, which is to me the amazing thing. We're a collective of writers. We're not publishers, as I always tell people. So we're all writers of various stripes, but so we think about publishing from an author's perspective. And putting myself in your shoes, what it means is this book is available, and it's available instantly, and it's back in print forever. Which is
it's available at a reasonable price too.
And it never goes out of print, whereas everything else goes out of print eventually. And that's I think trying to sort of marshal the great potential of ebooks and put it to work for authors is really something we think a lot about, and we're very proud to have it in the first list. I also just think it's a terrific book. You've seen publishing change, radically from 1962 when your first novel came out to ebooks. Without being too depressing, could you comment on the current state of publishing?
Yes. I remember the first novel I published, the editor was a man who's now a friend of mine named John Pope at St. Martin's Press, a very smart guy. Who was very attentive to what I was trying to do with that book, and was helpful without being terribly intrusive or arrogant. And then the next editor I had was a woman named Ann Kostick at Seaview Books. Same story, intelligent application of her intellect and aesthetic to my work. Then at Random House, the legendary Bob Loomis, who had been around for about 50 years. Same thing. He read the books, and he read them critically. And I didn't agree with everything he wanted me to do, and I didn't do everything he wanted me to do. But every once in a while, he would say, this doesn't look right to me. What's wrong with it? And I would say, well, what do you think is wrong with it? He would say, I don't know. What do you think? And anyhow, you get the picture. In other words, conscientious editors. I suppose you can still find them in New York. And I'm hoping to find a conventional publisher for my next novel, but if I do, it's gonna be a piece of luck, I think.
A lot of people in your shoes who have written a lot find themselves sort of daunted by the whole thing, or missing the good old days when you actually could make a fair amount of advance and get attention. I think the time when a new novel was an event has sort of come and gone. There are so many novels come out so quickly and disappear that really trying to just write because you love to write and because you love to tell a story and because you want to connect, as you said, emotionally to readers. It pulls you back to the core reasons why you write, because at this point you're not going to be doing it for money when you get down to it. There's not that much money to be had even along the way. It's a different.
You're really discouraging me, Steve.
I know. Keep writing, Don. It's okay. I just think it makes writers really think why they're doing it.